Karolina is 28 years of age, originally from Olomouc, which is way out east in Czechia, now living in Prague. And Andrea, I don't know how you feel about Karolina or Kaya to her friends, but I'd love her to have a run at a season where she doesn't have a massive injury and see, I mean, she's already made a Grand Slam final. Let's see what she can do.
You're so right about that, Sam. I just want to cover her in cotton for 12 months and have her not take the subway, not ride any bikes, you know, no injuries, no danger. That's just all I hope for her to have. Not even 12 months, but 2-3 years where you can build on the confidence that she gains every tournament and then gets just halted and paused by injuries. Has to rebuild that confidence all over again.
Bestäm turen, kom igen.
Very difficult to read Karolina's serve. She has a quick motion up to the ball. Always the same ball toss, no matter which serve. Big strength of hers, among so many strengths she possesses in her game. Jinxter, that's on me.
You did that yesterday.
It's the commentator's curse.
You seem to have a fairly bad affliction of it, actually. Severe affliction. Everyone's nervous in this in their opening matches of the season.
Advantage, Team Czechia.
It's her style of play, Karolina, that certainly has won her many fans. She's hugely well known and popular back in Czechia. She's the daughter of a top footballer, Josef Mukov. He played it back in the Czech Premiership, now is a manager. It is, though, great to see her back after a semi-final run at the US Open back in 2023. She injured herself in that match against Kokogov, and we didn't see her until the following summer at Eastbourne, the European summer. Had wrist surgery at the start of that year, and even that was quite an early time to come back. So she had a very good end to the season, but feeling her way back still.
We just saw her change the racket. You mentioned it early on, Sam. The weather is a bit hotter than yesterday. She had a few forehands fly on her early on in this game. Probably switched to a firmer stringing tension.
Game to check in.
Slightly spotty opening service game, but getting it done. And we can say good morning to Yelena. Hello.
Hello, Sam and Andrea. Really excited to be here with you again, and really excited for this match, especially Karolina Muchova, one of my favorite players to watch. I mean, is there a player out there? I don't think there is at the moment that's got so many layers to her game and can just produce any shot. That's the skill set, the shot selection, and the tennis IQ. I have to say, it really reminds me of Ash Barty, which I absolutely love.
What are you hoping to see from her in her opening match?
Yeah, look, everyone has this first match of the year that's very tough, and we saw that. I really like what she did straight away. It felt like her racket wasn't right, and like Andrea mentioned, her forehands were flying a little bit, and even her serve, she was really missing them long, so made that change. So really aware straight away that something wasn't right. But yeah, just for sure to play herself in. Let's not forget, she was not even here last year because of that wrist surgery. So really only 4 months of the year that she played, or 5 months of the year, and she's 22 in the world. So come a long way to even just be here in Australia.
But Andrea, as you mentioned right at the start, don't underestimate Malene Helgo, because forget her ranking of 400. When she's played this United Cup, she's played some of her best tennis, hasn't she?
Absolutely, absolutely. We mentioned the close results she put up against some very good players, Garcia and Vekic, pushed them to 3 sets. And she seems fearless, which I like about her. She came here bouncing around, smiling. She's here to play. That's great to see.
Had somewhat of a decent junior career, actually. Was top 30 in the world, but it shows you, and played all the junior slams, and that would suggest she was well supported by the Norwegian Federation. That would suggest that she might be a top 100 player, or certainly 150, 200. It hasn't happened for her, for the 25-year-old yet. Andrea, can you explain for maybe the non or casual tennis fan why you would change rackets to a tighter one if the ball is flying?
Absolutely. Let's wait for this point, because I don't know how long I will need to explain it all. Beautiful return by Karolina here. You just have to imagine, if you play a music instrument, it's similar with the strings of a guitar or a violin or a cello. The firmer you string them, the higher they will sound. And it's similar with a tennis racket. The firmer you string the racket, the more grip you have and the less bounce off the strings you have. And when it's very hot, the ball gets pressurized, it flies through the air quicker.
Game, Team Norway.
Really important hold.
1 game.
I'm loving this expert. I was thinking you were going to say it gives you more control, but you give me a whole. I've got guitars to think about now and cellos.
I was trying to make it scientific, and we talked about the humidity today. It's quite low, and that makes the ball fly even more. When there's a lot of moisture in the air, it can weighten the ball down, and it will fly less through the air. But today it's low humidity, quite high temperature, and that's what we saw in the first game with Karolina's ground strokes, especially with the forehand, just flying on her a little bit, missed a few shots long, switched the racket and played right away better and held in the first game. And another jinx.
She might.
For the record.
She might. She might want to go even a little tighter. Stringers have been busy. That's experience, though, as well. We saw Belinda Bencic yesterday, midway through that first set, where she was a little scraggly and few were flying. Changed the racket, and off she went.
Flawless, yeah.
Something that Helga hasn't done. So we'll see. Maybe she's got it right first time.
You saw Helga there just misjudging the ball a little bit, was kind of in the middle of nowhere, didn't really attack it to take it on the rise, didn't go back to let it fall, and that's when you have the ball bounce right above your shoulder, where it's very hard to control or generate any kind of pace up there. That was for Jelena, huh? Jelena, yeah. That was for you.
I was literally jumping in to say, here it is. This is what she has the ability to do, and disguises it so well. Look at the grip change there, the soft hands. And you'll see that when she starts coming forward also and serve and volleying. Just incredible feel.
Rather smoother service game. Cece looking good here early on in this first set.
Den må være litt bakpå. Ellers er det liksom ingenting som trenger å være alt for rett for, men server bra. Enten på en måte prøve å lese den, eller stelle deg litt lenger ut, og det er flere måter å gjøre det på. Prøve å ta den litt ekstra henne. Ja. Men ja, du liker å spille serve-volley på den nå, ser det som. Ja. Bare holde den lavt, spille cross. Ja. Ellers er det helt med. Bare, ja, som sagt, har du sjansen på returen. Ja. Make a play. Serven. Noen ganger så bare må man akseptere at hun server bra, men være opp på den ut av banen da. Ja. Ikke som hun liker den. Nå har på backserven på avserven. Ja. Så jeg har tenkt noen ganger, nå kommer den på foran. Ja. Men da... Okay. All right.
A healthy arrival of fans here on the Ken Rosewell Arena.
Time.
There's a crowd that builds throughout the morning and into the early afternoon. That racket has certainly done the trick.
Love 14.
Yeah, and she's actually hitting through the ball now a lot more. And that point right there was a perfect example, especially off the forehand as well. And this is what might be a bit of a shock for Malene, I think, is that she's playing someone that's got every shot in the book, and at the moment she just doesn't know what's coming.
Interesting. Both players still looking for the ideal return position. Both players have that kick serve on the second serve.
Yeah, and from here, courtside, it's really actually obvious that they're both struggling with that ball getting up high above that left shoulder on the backhand. Saw that with Muchova right there, but also with Malene as well. So a couple of backhand misses off the return for both.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point Jelena is making, because that is, Muchova has very few weaknesses. I would almost venture to say none, but the one thing that does bother her, and it reflects in the matchup with Coco Gauff, which she really doesn't like, is the high topspin ball to the backhand. That's the one thing you can exploit with her, and Coco Gauff does that so well in that forehand cross-court rally. Just rolls it down the line into the backhand side of Muchova.
So this is what she would have to do, right? So you've got to decide, do you go back, let that ball get into the hitting zone, which is a slower way to play, maybe not, but then you've got to do this. You've got to take that ball on top of the bounce, so you adjust your return hit point, your return position, and you go more in, and she just did that right there, so that shows you the real awareness straight away that she has.
Early chance for the check. Coached by Captain Daniel Vacek, who was a very good player himself. Top 30 back in the day, third round of the Australian Open. Had to get his team off to a good start on his maiden captaincy of his country. There's the early break.
Team Czechia. Team Czechia. 3 games to win.
And I suspect that the Czechs have had a look at her previous results and realised don't underestimate her. Don't underestimate her. She's played very well on this court. I remember when she made her breakthrough at the US Open back in 2018, came in as a qualifier, played a night session on the old Louis Armstrong.
Beat Karolina Muchova, right?
And beat her serving and volleying an awful lot of the time. And it wasn't just the result, it was how she did it.
Oh yes, nice shot here by Helgo. I really like her attitude, I have to say. She's not backing down. And it's so much part of tennis, your charisma, what you give off, your aura on court. No matter where you rank, you have to come out on court and be almost an actress that portrays self-confidence. She's doing a nice job here, Helgo, against one of the most talented players on the WTA Tour.
will do.
15-13.
Bra jobba, bra jobba. Mer av det. Ok.
Andrea, you bring the artistic part of it, so the guitar for the strings, the actress for the attitude on the court. That's also scared to play you. You always put that, Carlos. You had that kind of fierce look.
I don't know where all this art came from. Yeah, she's motioning to herself. And we see here that stat, that is a thing that you see with the top players very often. Win set after an early break. These top players are front runners. They play even freer, even more loosely when they are up. Makes things that much more difficult for the opponent.
They're also, unlike the lower ranked players, very quick to snap back when they do and get that immediate break back when they've been broken. So it's both sides of that breaking coin. Christian Ruud, he really did pave the way, didn't he, for Norwegian tennis. First Norwegian to make an ATP final, top 40 back in the day.
Beautiful.
Beautiful to see with that. It's just her recognition. So straight away she recognised that she's got her opponent on full stretch. You have a look at that. She was already moving forward, and then even the volley to go short sees how far back her opponent is. Just great court awareness.
Smooth sailing for Czechia so far in this opening set. Well, the players love coming down to this part of the world every December and January. Great way to spend the summer. They don't often get out to the snowy mountains or even the Blue Mountains, because it's a couple of hours outside of Sydney, but it goes on the bucket list to do maybe when you're down here on holiday after your tennis career. But so much to see so close to the Sydney CBD. And you've got to make a start because you haven't even been on a boat in Sydney Harbour.
I haven't done anything. It's embarrassing.
No, it's not.
I would excuse myself.
Yelena and I were discussing it yesterday because we were. I mean, maybe we have to take you down to Circular Quay and take you for a boat ride. But it's due to your dedication and diligence that you didn't do anything else other than hit tennis balls. So, third day of the United Cup, second day session here at the Ken Rosewall Arena. And Daniel Wacek is getting to know Karolina Muchova. He's the coach of Thomas Majszak, former player.
Time.
And he's not going to be a Horacio de la Pena, who was jumping up and down and
that was fun.
Fist pumping, and very different captaincy style from Daniel.
Nice.
That's good tennis.
15-11.
Our ranking is at 400s, obviously way down from Muchova, but even to get that ranking, she's still done quite a lot of winning. She's won 9 titles on that lower tour, and she had a very good bounce out of the United Cup in 2024. Won a couple of more tournaments. It just shows you, if she's around really good practice and training and a high level, how much, you know, it can't be a coincidence that she won tournaments off the back of playing here for Norway.
And it's such a great point you're making, Sam, because if you just take her opponent, Karolina Muchova, who is grown up in one of the strongest tennis nations of all time, especially on the women's side, the Czech players, if you win the Czech championships, you're basically a top 10 player in the world. That's how strong they are. So it depends also on where you grow up and what kind of tennis players you can practice with.
Well, she is the only female player from Norway ranked in the top 1,000. There's only 4 ranked players in total.
30-15.
And she has never won a WTA main draw match.
$40-15. Game, Team Norway. Team Czech leads by 4 games to 2.
Nice serving from Helgo here, but she's not the only one who is serving well. Her opponent, Karolina Muchova, has done tremendously well, in fact, on her serve. And we have some stats here prepared. And she disguises it so well with that ball toss that is always the same. She has her favorites. She loves to go wide, and that is because she also likes to set up for that next shot. Opens the court up with the wide serve and then goes into the other side, and she in fact has won 82% of the points when the first serve is in play. This is the Muchova play guide, and despite her missing that volley, that's exactly what she loves to do. Serve wide into the open space and then close the net. And you know what's coming as the opponent, and still there's so little you can do against it, and that's what is so frustrating about Muchova's game if you are the opponent.
And Andrea, at the French Open a few years ago, you were Muchova's opponent.
I was.
And you spent a long time out there with her.
It was a very questionable pleasure, I will say so much. Very questionable.
You got to see some beautiful volleys there.
That is true. I got to see some beautiful tennis, just not on my side.
And that serve,
30-15.
are you able to pick it at all?
So And that was what my coach also gave me as a tactics. I did close the wide serves a little bit. Everyone knows that she likes to go there, but they are so accurate, and she has the same ball toss. So whenever she gets you, and and Jelena mentioned that, she reads the game so well. When she sees you step out and close the wide serve, she just goes tee, and you're in the middle of nowhere again. So it's really frustrating playing her.
I love that, a questionable pleasure.
Yeah, and you're right, Andrea, because the first 2 points she served out wide, and now the second 2 points she actually went down the tee. So once you kind of maybe even get comfortable on that wide serve, like Helga did close that wide serve, she will mix it up and she'll see where your return position is. That's that tennis IQ we were talking about, and the awareness on the court.
Game, team check.
Closing in, check on this opening set.
New balls. Team check leads by 5 games to 2.
Czechia, one of 18 nations to start out of this United Cup. We will come down to the 4 semi-finalists for next weekend here in Sydney. Of course, they're playing over in Perth as well. A little unusual to have a split tournament, but the ones that do come through from Perth get 2 days now to acclimatise and get used to the conditions. Originally there was one, and it really wasn't enough. You really saw it in the performances. Iga Swiatek really struggled, and this competition has been in Tennis Australia, very responsive to the feedback in the first few years.
And that just makes for a more inclusive work environment when the players feel like they have.
Ja, det også, men også når du passerer en langs linja, setten cross vanskelig for henne å sette den volleyen, kanskje enn å sette den.
Altså, det bedre å gå cross, det vanskelig for henne.
Ja, det synes jeg det.
Hva var det funnet på det?
Ja.
Time.
Ut og bare fortsette. Okay.
Well, if you wonder what they're looking at, they have got real-time analytic data, and they know everything that we're looking at, about the wide serving, what's happening there. That's another very fine point from Helga.
You really wonder, right, Sam, why she is not ranked at least around 100. Yeah. The only one thing I do see, she sometimes lets the ball drop a little bit instead of taking it on the rise. You see the top players always really making the effort to step in into the baseline, take balls early, attack the shorter ones. But other than that, she has a fantastic game.
Oh, we like that.
30-15.
She has great reactions, has Muchova. Take a look at this. And I wonder if this is from her handballing days, because when she was a youngster, handball was a huge sport in Czechia, she was a very good handballer and chose tennis.
Lucky us.
Here, come out.
You can see the camera just to the side there. That's calling the foot faults. And there were a few yesterday, actually. Well, already broken once in the set in the fourth game, and Muchova eyeing up another. Czechia with a set point here.
Okay, come on.
One of the things that the players have to get used to, particularly when they're on debut like Muchova, is that when you finish the game, you don't walk to the umpire's chair and sit down. You have to go to the back of the court, sometimes the other end, and your teammates are right there. They're busy looking at data, they're feeding it through to a captain, maybe don't know that well. There's a lot going on.
Advantage, Team Czechia.
Another chance for Muchova to close out this opening set.
That's what I always try to do when I played Muchova. I try to hit her and take her out that way, because otherwise there was very little chance for me to win the match.
Well,
so.
you're very tough on yourself. And that was a big three-setter in Paris, and you were actually won the first.
I did.
You were halfway there, Andrea. I'm gonna big you up. Oh yeah. It's a sweet strike.
Advantage, Team Czechia.
And a third set point in this game.
Advantage. Team Czechia.
Czechs have come to play as a fine finish to that opening set. Muchova taking it by 6 games to 2. Jelena, what are you hoping to see start of the second from Muchova?
Look, I think she's done really well. A little bit rusty in the first game or two, had a racket change, and from there she hasn't really looked back. I love the way that she's straight away recognised what she needs to do against her opponent, which is that variation. Not get into too many just straightforward up and down baseline rallies. Like that, for example, because Helgo, she's actually a really great ball striker, and she's not your tallest player, so she's really down low to the ground. But what Muchova's done well, she's thrown in the slice and the variation. She's come forward, attacked the return, take time away. So I think that she's going to continue to do that in this second set.
She'd make a very good training sparring partner, wouldn't she?
Yeah,
Helgo?
she would. It would be one of those perfect ones. And you can see actually she really likes the even ball, even tempo, right in the hitting zone. Like that.
Well, you never know. It was going rather smoothly. Placing her the first break point of the contest. Ooh. Completely against the run of play, although I guess understandable when it's your first match of the year.
Følger vi opp den. Okay. Det er veldig bra. Må du spille litt med testen, liksom. Hun fikk litt for mye det, men så tar hun noen poeng på serven, men hun er nervøs nå. Hun føler at hun skal liksom vinne, det er press på henne. Så hvis du viser henne at du liksom får mye baller tilbake, får hun til å bli stresset. For at du føler presset. Ok? Du må holde på den ledelsen her nå.
Er det en serve på forhånd eller backhjørn? Er det bedre serve på backhjørn, eller?
Til henne?
Ja, litt variasjon.
Ja, litt variasjon, tenker jeg bare. Kommer liksom fort fra begge sider på henne, føler jeg, men hun mister jo også fra begge sider, så jeg tror at det er ikke en sånn stor side som...
Ja, kjør.
Ok, så kom igjen.
Kom igjen.
It's all very calm, isn't it, in the Norwegian camp? That's how they do things. Sitting on that back row behind Christian is Ulrika Elko, who's a very good doubles player.
Very good.
If this was to come down, played in the Grand Slam mixed final at Roland Garros a few years ago. So if this was to come down to the wire, they've certainly got some reinforcements. Quarter-finalists last year, actually.
Love 15. Led for serve.
That is very good. Both returns, first point, second point, taken early, through the middle, good depth, and then you get the short ball. And it's such simple tennis from the outside, but so tough to pull off. You need to have the eye for it and the feel for the game.
Surprisingly, in the 2 appearances here so far, Czecha at this United Cup, they've never got out of the round robin stage.
It's
15-14.
Well, this very much goes back to the conversation we were having the last set. When a top player breaks, they usually back it up, and when they get broken, their response is instant.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
And annoying for the opponent.
Serena Williams apparently was #1 in the stats for year after year. Well, she got very annoyed when she got broken. And there was immediate payback chance here for Muchova to right the wrong. And she doesn't miss a beat and levels up in style.
And Sam, we talked about, and Jelena mentioned how beautifully Helgo actually strikes the ball. And so we were asking ourselves, what is the difference then between a 22 player ranked in the world and somebody ranked outside the 400? And here we have it. This is very blatant. 64% of the tennis balls are struck on the rise by Muchova and only 49% by Helgo. And I actually have this very intelligent AI in front of me that shows me that in the first game that Helgo broke, she was up to 70%, and that's why she probably did break. So she is trying to make adjustments, which is not easy at all, having to face Muchova. But these are the kind of details that make such a big difference in the sport of tennis.
Love 15.
I wonder how hard it would be for her to train that, to take more balls on the rise, to get it maybe to 60%. I wonder if she looks very capable of doing that.
I think so too. I think if she was to look at these stats, I think that's something she can work on, and I think that would catapult her in the rankings at least to 100 something fairly quickly. If she were to make that adjustment, it might take a few months, but that's not a lot considering she's 25. She still has plenty of time.
Perhaps we should take a screenshot of the stats and send it to Captain Rudd.
13-15.
You sense that she has a great aversion to missing, though. I wonder if that stops her from being aggressive.
Even with that, though, I'm still baffled. She's 350 in the world because she's a much better player and ball striker than that. So I just wonder, is she a big occasion player and loves this environment? But what happens when you go and play those smaller tournaments and there's not a lot of people watching, smaller courts, you don't have that support, you're on your own? Maybe that is a factor of where then she plays differently. It doesn't have that belief and confidence.
We like that very much. Everything going well now for the Czechs.
Team Czechia leads 2-1.
Well, the players very rarely have a chance to get out to the Blue Mountains and far away from the CBD, but on the banks of Sydney Harbour, a little closer to the centre of town, is Taronga Zoo, where you can cuddle a koala and see the kangaroos. And I remember Wally Masur telling me last year that this is where Leighton Hewitt had his wedding reception.
Ah, I thought you were going to say this is where Leighton Hewitt grew up.
No, he grew up in Adelaide.
At the zoo. So what's your favorite Australian animal, Sam?
Oh my goodness.
Tough question.
It's certainly not the huntsman spider, because I saw a lot of those last week in Queensland. Bum was on my bed. This is the opening match of 3. Czechia against Norway. In the day session. Karolina Muchova making her debut here at the United Cup. And if you're wondering why we're saying Czechia and not Czech Republic, it was actually back in 2016 that the government decreed that it would be more straightforward for the country to be called Czechia. But no one really took any notice until about a year or two ago. I think the football team is called Czechia. And they only use Czech Republic for apparently official state documents.
Okay.
So Czechia it is.
And that backhand down the line by Muchova, that is so lethal when she's feeling that. That really shows you that she's growing into her game. When she's not feeling herself 100%, she goes cross-court with the backhand, tries to build the game with the forehand side. But when she starts to play that shot as well, then...
And it's very obvious, actually. I watched her a lot, the breakthrough Australian Open in 2021 when she got to the semi-finals, and I've covered a lot of her matches, and including the US Open last year when she got to the semis. It's very obvious today, and maybe something they've worked on in the off-season. She is going down the line a lot as soon as the opening is there. So she's not taking the unnecessary risk. It's controlled aggression. But she is really taking that ball early, and we've seen that a lot off the forehand as well. I mean, even that one, she missed it, but she's really trying to take the ball early, and I think that that's the next step of her actually trying to win a Grand Slam. This is how she would have to play against the Sabalenka and Swiatek and Goff as well. She used to build the point a lot more. So definitely trying to be more aggressive, which for me, I think is the right thing to do.
30 all.
It's always a part of the season where you have your sort of antenna on far more highly tuned. Always think, wonder what she's done over the off-season. What are they bringing out? What's Alcaraz going to come out and do? And it is lovely when you see that they've made an adjustment which will take them on a little further. Oh, that's an excellent overhead.
Andre, we've both done the ITF tour and even coming back from injury as well. We've both gone down that path. Do you think, for me again, I will say Helgo, this is at least a top 100 player. Do you think the factor is, okay, big occasion, she loves this environment, team environment, but it's harder when you go smaller tournaments and on your own, and then you don't have that confidence and belief and support?
I agree 100%. I think you made a very astute point there. I think that the ITF Tour is an absolute jungle. It's chaos. It's a jungle. You need like 3 Macedis to get through it, and it's so hard, and anybody who does it is a mystery to me. And I think when you come here, you get new balls for every single practice. You have a teammate, you have a coach, you have all these things. You sleep in nice hotels, whereas the ITF Tour, you share the room with 10 people.
And we pick up our own balls at some tournaments as well, don't we? We don't have chair umpires. Yeah. It's quite a grind. I was trying to be nice that it's tough, but it's very tough.
I had a wasp nest in my room once. That was a low point in Budapest.
I have a story as well. I don't know if I should tell it.
Oh, go on.
Cockroaches in the hotel room. You see it all.
Love 30.
Well, broken in that opening service game of this second set. Not quite so smooth at the moment. Just picking up from what you've both been saying, forget the wasp nests and the cockroaches, trying to get her level up for what is ahead. And maybe she just was a little too aggressive and made a few too many mistakes. So maybe just reining it back a fraction here just to make sure she doesn't get broken. But this is an ideal match for her to play, isn't it? First one of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. These are the type, and that's what you get at United Cup. It's not a KO system. You guaranteed a couple of matches, so you can really try out those things that you have worked on in the off season. And I think that's why so many top players do come here, despite it being quite early in the season.
40-30.
It's just the ideal conditions to try all the things you will need to have in place once the Australian Open come around.
Game, Team Czechia.
Double ace finish. And another holder serve for Karolina Muchova.
By 3 games to 2.
det, så har du sjanse til å presse, så skal du presse selvfølgelig. Du slår jo hardt, men også du slår litt feil. Hold i.
Very smooth opening set for Karolina Muchova on debut here, playing for Czechia. A couple of breaks in the second, but we're back on serve.
Time.
On paper, it would look to be a very one-sided first meeting between the two, but Malene Helgo, ranked 404 in the world, is making it pretty competitive first of this second set.
Love 15. Love 13.
I wonder if they've worked on that in the off-season. You said she doesn't like that high kicker to the back end.
Yeah, I wonder too, because it was very obvious, and I talked to Kirsten Flipkins, who is in the Muchova team as an advisor at times, and she said, she really doesn't like playing Coco Gauff. We have to find a way in the off-season.
That's a good appointment, isn't it? Kirsten Flipkins, former semi-finalist at Wimbledon, plays also with a lot of flair, would understand her mindset and how she approaches the game.
Exactly, and just underlines how smart Muchova goes about her tennis and how high her tennis IQ is to appoint somebody that plays so similar to her.
Big opportunity here for Muchova.
Yes.
Now, I've got to tell you, the French have an expression for what Muchova just did. Monter aux chaussettes. It means come into the net in your socks, which means, that's what it means literally, figuratively, it's coming to net on a wing and a prayer. I just love that. I just love that French expression, monter aux chaussettes.
Game, Team Czechia.
Second break.
Czechia leads by 4 games to 2.
I suspect that will be enough for Muchova.
I think that return, though, says a lot, I think, about the confidence, because we were still on serve in the second set, even though she won that first set relatively comfortably, but just to still go and try that. I think it's confidence, but also, okay, this is the game plan. Regardless, we're going to play aggressive tennis, and like you said, Andrea, maybe preparing to play plays like Gauff and a game that doesn't suit her. She's just running in and taking everything on top of the bounce and just really exaggerating it. So perhaps something that they've worked on, and the game plan is, you know what, just do it. You know you're going to get a couple of matches here anyway, and preparing for a Grand Slam. I love it.
And she is a contender, a semi-finalist here in Melbourne. Back in 2021, I remember Muchova beating Ashbati in the quarters. Twice a quarter-finalist at Wimbledon. Last 2 years, the last 4 at the US Open. Of course, 2 years ago, a finalist at Roland Garros, losing to Iga Swiatek. She is a contender. Oh, yes. Full throttle.
40 left.
So beautifully done. And if you take a good look at Muchova's upper body, whenever she hits a volley or a ground stroke, she always seems to be in full control of where her limbs are and in full balance. I wouldn't know what that's like sitting down on a chair, and she's in full pace.
Closing in now on victory. Muchova is by a set and 5-2. Well, before the players went on to court there, some of the Tennis Australia have done throughout the summer of tennis for many years. They have a fantastic hot shots program, and players, actually the kids, get to play on mini tennis nets on the court, which is very, very special. And they can't do that at the moment. That was first thing this morning. But during the day, if you want to go and have a hit, you can. So you can see the tennis, and it's lovely to be able to pick up a racket, get a ball, and play on one of these new tennis walls. Much more attractive than the old tennis walls, Andrea, which used to be a sort of green with a white line and maybe a few chips in them. It's a very good morning going into the afternoon to be a fan of Czechia. And it always amazes me just how many nations come to watch their home countries here, and they're all organised with their flags and various paraphernalia. Oh, she's really standing in, isn't she? Goodness me.
Yeah, that was a better serve from Helgo. The second serve, she prefers that kick serve that Muchova has started to read midway through the first set. She put a bit more on it, 145 k's an hour. It's just overwhelming, the pace and variety that is coming at her, and she's playing a good match. Malene Helgo is.
Yes, it's been, muscles feel as though she's playing uphill most of the time.
And against the wind too.
And the temptation is always to push a little too hard. And just a few minutes shy of an hour and a quarter for Czechia to take this opening match.
Yes.
Till last. Point of the contest.
Advantage, Team Norway.
And Helga doing her best Muchova impression.
Yeah, and well done on staying in the point, because that was such a great volley. Easy to just relax. She did well in covering the net, knowing how fast Muchova can be.
Oh yeah. We're going to see a lot of that over this Australian summer.
News. Advantage, Team Czechia.
Another chance. Muchova to close here. And the Czechs begin their campaign in style. A straight sets open up, 6-2, 6-2. First meeting between Muchova and Helga.